Welcome. Committee meeting to order. Linda, we were talking football. Linda told us to be quiet so we can start the meeting. So we
Rita did, not Linda. You can get, oh, that,
yeah, Rita did.
yeah.
Hope everybody got all the information. Everybody got their packets. You can look through and see the balance sheet items. The income statement items, really not a lot there that would be different other than, legal fees, which were paid in July. And then just our normal contracted payments. We did get some interest, I guess, from that Stockyards account, and then I guess we had a donation from the James Brown Foundation that went through the community ventures.
That was interest. When they were holding our money in the account, that's interest payment.
We got a little interest there as well. So I don't know, man, anybody have any questions or any, as you review those, look through those items?
I had a question on the Takao Meek. There was an identical amount on July 31st as the August 11th. The July one was labeled March to June, but there's no label on the one for August. Is that July, August, September, or is that a duplicate? What is that?
We haven't sent another bill since that one, and with it being the same amount, I guess it's just an accounting issue of the check maybe coming back and clearing on that date as opposed to when it was issued.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know that's the last bill I had sent, so we haven't submitted or been paid for anything since that one.
Yeah, because they're identical amounts. I didn't know if it was a duplicate or what. So we may want to look into that.
Rita will get
Yeah,
find out exactly what that is. I mean, in my mind, it has to be
yeah. Sounds long.
how it was logged.
Yeah.
They haven't been paid. Yeah, they haven't been paid twice.
Yes, because we would have seen the bill.
Right.
Yeah, because I typically.
Okay, so can I?
Yes, Ms.
So, Mike, you might want to look on the detailed information that I emailed everybody with regard to that in terms of the highlights of the August financials. If you look at the, in that first under the balance sheet, accounts payable decreased $12,181 because a July invoice for legal fees of $12,414 was paid in August. So I think that may address your question. So I always send the highlights of the financials. So you have the narrative for when there's some things that may pop up. And I think that addresses your question. If not, I'm happy to circle back to Otis to get some additional clarification for you. Let me know how you'd like for me to proceed.
Yeah, I think I thought I was looking at a check from last month, and it is the accounts payable journal entry. So that makes sense.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Are there any other questions or comments about the balance sheet, the income statement, and the financials? If not, can we get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you. Get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Chip's here. Chip, I know you got some things, hopefully to just kind of see what you were working on from a budgetary standpoint, see kind of where we are there, what you think, and then I know Laura's gonna talk about some things, but some of the things that I wanna make sure, I wanna talk about the budget. I wanna see where we are as far as a bookkeeper, and then just, update, on the, L home, negotiation, see where we are on those. Chip, you can start.
Yeah,
kind
that
of
sounds good. I'll just sort of, let me ask a question. When is the, next board meeting?
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think the main activity we had was, Rita and Laura and I went to Frankfurt Thursday. Was it Thursday?
Wednesday.
Yes.
I think it was.
Was it Thursday?
It was Thursday, and, just, first thing I felt it was really, strengthening for the partnership. One of the key partners in this is the Department of Revenue. And Gary Morris had his entire, staff there, key staff, I should say, and the commissioner was there as well. And it was good, really good for them to hear from,
The commissioner was there.
yeah,
That's good.
Rita and Laura.
And it was on Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday?
Mhm.
Thanks. Yeah, Wednesday. And, we wanted to communicate what we're working on. And we wanted to learn from them what they're working on. We had that meeting, and we'll talk a little bit more of what we learned out of that. And I think important for the finance committee, because it does relate to the budget. We met with Vaughn Murphy and Jim Bondurant, who are with Senate President Stivers. They're in his office. They are two of the four people that are sort of the ones that make things get done. So we had lunch with them at the Capitol Annex cafeteria. And then we also met with Katie Smith, who's the Cabinet for Economic Development, and who was the key contact, the lady Yates, not Yates, what was her name? Michelle, what was her name?
Karen Yates.
Karen Yates,
Mhm,
yeah, Karen
mhm.
Yates. So a key contact. So, partnership is about building these relationships across not just community, but at the state level, because the Department of Revenue is a key partner in this, because and then we went to Senator Neal's office and caught him as well and sat down with him for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, man, I want to keep Stivers and Neil abreast of the partnership first.
Exactly.
What we going on.
Yeah.
It was a.
Make sure
very
they
good-
can hear.
was a
Can you all
very
hear?
good Touch base,
Mike,
because
can you hear?
I can hear.
Okay. Are you good, Mike?
Senator Hill, expressed their continuing interest in wanting to hear from us about how everything was working. Particularly whether we thought there was any part of the statutes that may need a little bit of tweaking going forward.
Right.
They were very open to it because they are focused on making this process go. I think it was good for us to hear still the level of support
Right.
in Senator Steiger's office and in Senator Green's office. And it was even more compelled, I think, to sit with the folks in the revenue cabinet and to hear about the sausage making that they literally have to go through
Yeah.
to collect the amounts that they have to collect, and their commitment to being accurate and their commitment to continuously communicating. It was a very, very good meeting, very good time spent. One of the big things that they were communicating to us is the time when they may have the baseline number.
That's right. And I think that was that, and, I think those are the things that I wanted to talk about right now, bring that, yeah.
Before you do, can I throw one more thing in? Apropos of, so if you talking to Senator Stiver's staff about any statutory amendments you might need and their willingness to move forward on that. For another reason, not connected to finance committee, I touched base with his general counsel. And they reiterated the same thing, that if he identified things that
Right.
need to be tweaked in the governing statutes, they're They are anxious to listen. They want to make any changes that we need, so.
I think that's the main message it needs to be, you know, as the outsider, you know, here talking, I think that's the main thing that needs to be communicated to the board. You know, one of the main points is the commitment from the Department of Revenue, the commitment from the General Assembly. Those are the partners in this partnership. And in the Cabinet for Economic Development, everyone's willingness, hey, the car's been designed, let's get it on the road and see how it runs. And then let's get some feedback, you know, is it generating the horsepower we need to get what we want out of it? That is the reality.
Let me ask you this too, one of the things that if we met with them, if we could be put on the road, hopefully, I would like to be for Monday. If we could try to meet with Pat Malloy and bring her and let them know, city gave us 10 million, state gave us 10, and I think it'd be good for us. So we keep everybody on the same page.
I like it.
And
At least Pat Malloy, we should be
And
able
I
to
just-
perform.
And I just think that's another way we can show that we're doing
Well,
it.
let me
It's still bipartisan.
Let me
I think
tell you
that's
this,
important.
that the Metro Council has expressed an interest in. Rita and I had a
President.
meeting with Winkler, the president of Metro Council, a couple of months ago. And his office contacted us again this past week, and we scheduled another meeting. They have a continuing interest in us as well. And Pat Malloy's is chairing, remember, this economic development that the mayor put together, and I'm a part of that. So we have an opportunity to feed in information, both to the mayor and to Pat. We've had a meeting, was it a week or so ago? During that meeting, I had an opportunity to sidebar both of them separately about what we are doing with the partnership, and they remain supportive, very supportive.
I just think that it's important for us to ship with the advisor to meet with, we need to meet with Winkler and we need to meet with Malloy, the executive branch and the legislative branch.
Yes.
Right. So because there's, you know, if anything that, and from a revenue standpoint, council related, but we make sure we keep the mayor does have an appointment out there. So keep them abreast.
Yeah.
It keeps everybody on the same
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, I
We
think,
have to do the same thing at the real, in my opinion, it's a lot of
yeah,
people just, you know, hey, me, but I think it's beneficial to meet with those individuals individually, and then sometimes have a group meeting, but let's meet with them individually, see what each is.
everyone needs to have the same benefit of communication and understanding.
Right.
And
So we have that meeting now, it's going, we can go ahead and schedule one with Malloy.
We said is this week too.
I think it's coming up pretty quickly.
He gave some dates. I think we're looking at the 20-something. He gave some options, and I think
Yeah,
this one may be virtual, but,
yeah.
If we could, my thing, if we could meet with them before the meeting,
Yeah.
would be.
it will be with Winkler, it will be, but are you talking about with Malloy?
Try to get, I mean, say, Pat, hey, man, we just need for 15.
Okay,
Maybe something real
okay.
quick, I mean, if you can met with him, let me know too, like 15 minutes. Just so they know, look, man, this is where, so.
Yeah, okay,
Everybody just
okay,
on the same page and on board.
okay.
Yeah. And
And I think they will be, but it just,
he feels good about it.
it might be just, maybe, William, if it's, you know, if it's too hard to do all the scheduling gymnastics to make it happen before Monday, the simple communication for the board Monday is, well, this week, you know,
Right.
we spoke with Metro, and we're gonna be meeting with them in the upcoming
Right.
weeks as well. That's the next,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's our style, you
Yeah.
know, that might be a way to handle it, because this could be challenging,
I
the
understand.
schedule gymnastics.
But they are all committed.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was a great segue. And, you know, so like picking up on the Department of Revenue, you know, I don't wanna belabor so that's the main thing to communicate. Cabinet for Economic Development, Department of Revenue, two key lawmakers and their staff in Frankfurt we met with, and the palpable commitment that's there. The willingness, the understanding that we've designed this TIF to be a component of funding for the partnership. Senator Neal's quick point out, quit talking about the TIF, this isn't the TIF, this is the partnership and that kind of thing, but the reality is, it's something that, I mean, he directly said, stop talking about the TIF, and it's, don't make people think that all this thing is a TIF, it's not a TIF, it's something more than that. And I think that's an important statement, but at the same time, people want to talk about money.
Right.
So we've got like a dual responsibility to sort of figure that puzzle piece out, and because it ties to the budget. And so, the main statement to end that kind of part of the conversation is that all the key constituents are on the same page. They want to see how this machine runs on the road, and they want feedback from the partnership on improvements that can be made, because they want to generate as much investment for the 9 neighborhoods as possible. That's why it was put in place. So that was that. So some details from the Department of Revenue that I think are important to highlight. The complexity is 13 square miles. Richard Dobson is in charge of sales tax for Department of Revenue, and they will never share private information. You wouldn't want your information shared to citizens. He will never share private information, but he shares some key things, talking about the complexity of it. It's 13 square miles. In Louisville, there's 180,000 counts that, they sort through. 1,800 of them are attributable to the 13 square miles. 1,800 accounts are attributable to the 13 square miles. And they don't get they don't get filings on sales tax until January. So the 2023 number we won't have until January 2024, and then he's got to sort through it, and they have to hand by hand write letters to taxpayers and ask, verify information. Where are you? Are you still in the district? Are you not? And by the way, of the 1,800, a couple hundred of them are what they call consolidated filers. So, you might have an Acme Corporation that makes a filing, and they might have 14 offices across Metro Louisville or the MSA, and 3 of them are within the footprint. So they got to figure out, well, how many employees are there? What's their sales tax? How are you reporting it? So they got to do all that hand to hand. The Department of Revenue has to do it with the individual, with the filers, and so that's why it takes so long. They do not have the base year fixed. Again, they didn't get the numbers till January 2023. And they've been working to come up with what the base looks like, what in terms of property tax, sales tax, and that kind of thing. So I'm thinking that it's just like I stated before to the committee here, it's gonna be mid to late fall until we have an idea what the base is. It'll be mid to late fall next year before we know what the subsequent year, how it performed and what the increment is.
So let me ask you this on that. Does that mean, look, we gotta get budgets when we gotta get, does that mean that we shouldn't look to make any investments in them?
No, that's not what they mean.
Okay,
We talked about that as well in the context of another committee. We do think that it's important for us. The Gates Committee is starting the process of the community outreach. They're having a committee meeting this week and are going to report to the board about the design of the community outreach process, whereby they're going to get information from the community concerning their individual 9 neighborhood needs. But one of the things that we have already started talking about with the folks who are helping us to design is the importance of coming out of the gate fairly quickly.
Right.
With some investments. Once we get that feedback, we need to deliver some quick wins rather than waiting to get the payout. because that initial payout is gonna be a year away.
Right.
And it's gonna be take a minute.
Right, and then picking up on that, there's so much uncertainty related to the TIF in general. For instance, we've talked about the base year will be adjusted every year by CPI. This is confidential information just for this group here gathered on the screen, but they shared with us that the CPI adjustment, it may be as much as 8%. So think about that in terms of, okay, well, we get a property tax increment. We all know what our assessments have done over this past year. You have to think, well, in order for the partnership to enjoy an increment on property tax payable next year, property tax values, property taxes paid in the non-neighborhoods will have to have grown more than 8% year over year. You know, that's a lot. A whole lot. I mean, historically, property values go up about 2.5%. You know, that's the norm. We had CPI adjustment of 8%. So it's conceivable that the TIF doesn't pay anything in property tax. Now,
And that's the conundrum, because the thought is, again, the feedback from our friends in Frankfurt is they want this process to be successful. And they want us to receive a sum of money that will make a difference. After that first year payment, with escalating the old base up to 8% and then calculating what the increase is off that inflated amount, you may need to adjust that process.
that's right. That's what got us in the conversation. You know, there's we had the TIF.
The TIF?
Yeah, and remove, we also, the arena had a CPI adjustment to the base.
Right.
And they took away that adjustment because every time they would get some increase in sales tax or, you know, the sales tax and property tax for the arena, every time they get an increase, here comes the CPI and they would never get generated the increment that the arena needed to service the debt.
So
You're not servicing debt. So, you know, the main thing that Department of Revenue, Cabinet for Economic Development, and the two key legislators communicated to us is, let's see what happens. Let's get the information first, and then see what adjustments need to be made. One of the primary adjustments, the first early thing to do that we might consider is removing the CPI adjustment to the base. Okay.
And do you think that's something that they would be willing to do?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. We don't need to do it now because we don't know what the numbers are. We can't make adjustments without having been on the racetrack yet. So that's the
importance of meeting.
Exactly.
You know,
It's
Enhancing
enhancing the partnership. I mean, you know, so there's 25,000 parcels of land in the 13 square miles. 25,000 parcels of land. The assessed valuation of 2022 was $1.5 billion. There's a $1.5 billion worth of assessed value in the 13 square miles. They're in the process of working through this, you know, the assessments are kind of, I'm going to say, a little bit easier to do because houses don't move in and out of district.
It's the other components,
The sales
tax and
yeah, those are difficult because the business moving out. But you know, there's infrastructure in place at the state and at the metro level to come up with the 2023 assessment. We'll know here probably, you know, pretty shortly what that looks like. Okay.
Now here's another component to look at in terms of the importance of this careful communication with our friends in the state government. And they were being as candid and as open with us as they could possibly be by sharing all of this information. We are not in a position on our own to estimate what is the sales tax amount that we're going to see. What is the property tax amount? What is the individual employee tax amount that we're going to receive? There are issues of confidentiality that would prevent us from just going out and asking somebody.
Okay.
There's no way we can estimate that on our own. The state has to do it for us.
That's right.
They have the tools and the ability to audit, which gives them access to this confidential information. The challenge, all of our challenges going forward is going to be to continue to be candid, open, and with each other, and to examine all of these details together. And that's the reason why we have to have open, trustful relationship
Mhm.
with the state.
There's and for payroll, Barbara that was in there, so, you know, Richard Dobson was. Is sales tax, Tom Crawford does property assessments, and then Barbara, and I'm blanking on her last name, Barbara Rice.
But there was two barbers.
Or
One was the commissioner and one's the other.
Christie does, Christie doesn't believe. Bethany Rice, the Department of Revenue General Counsel was in there with us.
Yeah,
And then the full squad was there.
yeah.
And, you know, Christie said that for payroll, there's 1,000 businesses in the 13 square miles. 800 of them are single locations and 200 of them are multi-locations. They have to sort through all that and figure out what part of it's for the partnership or what part of it's not. You know, we talked about the new Norton's location. Was something that you two brought up. That was important.
Yeah,
Good
they,
deal.
yeah, they get, their contribution to support the partnership is that they didn't take any kind of tax break. So they're going to be a contributing business that sits in the footprint. Yes, which is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they were doing, very productive, and Metro's conversation, when it gets set up, the right time will be just as productive. And, you know, I think Monday, you know, what I can bring is just a very rudimentary comparison of, 2023 actual, and then we'll do some sort of, 2024 comparison, just to start representing like the budget.
Mhm.
The real budget
Based on the history
based on.
and not necessarily being able to populate the budget right now.
No, well,
Going forward until we start really zeroing in on those various
yeah,
categories.
what Rita suggested and we talked about was like, just do some line items, like, okay, we know we're gonna have a TIF revenue for sales, holding property tax, we'll put a line item in revenue, it'll be zero. You know, well,
Alicia, I'm gonna pull Alicia Burns over. I had her to come in as a guest, so, and try to keep my head out of the
yeah, we'll budget.
view here. Let's see, where are we? Participants.
Very valuable. Okay, animals in it.
Okay, well, it's just,
And the state cafeteria again is priceless.
Those guys got the shivers walking through the Capitol Annex. They got this like weird little shoulder stitch. The PTSD is what you get referred to it as. Very good.
well, that's good. Well, Laura, I think now you can just kind of give us an update on something.
Okay.
you're working on.
Alicia just joined us now.
Alicia, welcome.
Regarding the office, Rita and I are still convinced that we can get office furniture either free or almost free, so we have not spent any money yet on office furniture till we have appropriately investigate our, the freebies that are available to them. But I think people should not expect to see any exorbitant office furniture bills, because that's not gonna, it's either gonna be free or cheap. But it's still gonna look bad.
Yeah, and the historical desk that we were just donated.
That's right.
Yes, the partnership will be receiving via donation, the original desk of the first president of Mammoth Life, the first president. And it's absolutely beautiful, 100% cherry. for the president's office. So now Kim Burse. Kim Burse, she, had it, I think when she was at the holding company. And she's kept it. Originally, it was supposed to be donated if the Kentucky Center for African American Heritage had gone to be a, museum in the normal sense or the standard sense. So she's hung on to it. So now all we have to do is get some movers to move that from our home on the second floor. And it is not, it's not gonna be an easy task, but maybe we'll get 2 men in a truck. Well, we can get 2 men in a truck. We can either use that company or we can use you and Chip. No. I'm teasing. Yeah, but it's beautiful. I know. Beautiful.
So that's a quick update. Also on L Homes, last month, we'll be presenting the characteristics of the agreement. I told the board that I anticipated that we would be furnishing the complete agreement for their review and approval at this month's board meeting. That's not going to happen. There are a number of people on L Homes' end that have to be consulted in regard to the process. So we don't have an agreement yet, but they are still committed to making that happen. So
Go bill November, how much is getting into September? Before we start some type of outreach things of that nature, how soon?
Well, I'm thinking that we can at least get the PBA to start in an outreach, at least saying resources available. When I'm saying it's delayed, it's just gonna be delayed like till next, till I think, but yeah, it's not gonna be in there.
Yeah, I'll be setting up a meeting with PBA and Laura,
Okay.
because they asked, how can they exist? And this is the perfect opportunity.
And then you asked about a bookkeeper. At this point, Lotus Secretary is still gonna be
Singleton.
Singleton.
Mhm.
That is president of your
Right.
University of Kentucky.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah,
right.
Dr.
right.
Reese.
Yeah,
And they're both, and
That's
they're both
right.
in Lexington. I knew, yeah, they're both in Lexington.
Okay, well, he is gonna continue to be the bookkeeper, so we're not.
Yeah.
Where else we gonna?
Yeah,
where are
we're
we
gonna be
looking at?
meeting on that. We have some options. We just need to, procedurally figure out how we need to approach that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's important.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but there's not gonna be a point in time where we're done without a bookkeeper.
Right, no doubt.
Mhm.
But I was trying to make sure we get to folks. Like I said, with the building, we need to try to get some folks inside. The.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The area,
Everybody.
right, so we can try to, so, that's like that, that'll be helpful. And like I said, man, try to support businesses that are within there that have been committed to areas where we've been and that are not people, so I was thinking.
Well, as we move forward, that's a convenience factor right there. I mean, they do bookkeeping, so we just need to make sure procedurally how we handle that. Let me make sure. Alicia, can you hear us? We've been on text.
Yes,
on
I can
this-
hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
That's all that I.
Lauren, have anything else? Rita, you got anything for us?
No, I think, we've incorporated all the little notes. It was a great meeting last week and feel really good about it.
Amy, you got any legal?
not for us. Got lots of legal going on.
Michael, J. Michael, anybody got anything?
No, I just need more meetings.
I was gonna say,
Mhm.
we did skip over the minutes.
Yes.
We did.
Um,
The minutes, but the financial.
Oh, yeah, we did this
skipped
on
the
it. Skip
minutes.
over the
I'm
minutes.
sorry, I did, if you looked over the minutes from our last meeting, I guess it was August the 18th. We need to, approve those. So if we don't see any changes that need to be made to the minutes. Is there a motion to approve those from the meeting of August the 18th?
I'll make a motion.
There's second,
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you. Chip, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Oh, Alicia, you got anything? Did you?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think that, we had a good meeting. Look forward to seeing everybody Monday.
Yeah, Alicia, I'll send you the recording because it's a short meeting, so you can catch up on the front end of what you missed, okay?
Thank you, Ms. Rita.
You're very welcome. Anybody else need anything from me? Mike, are you good on that question?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, all right.
Thank you all.
Okay, thanks.
Have a good afternoon.